Western Cape Judge President John Hlope has called for a commission of inquiry into allegations he was part of a plot to kill his deputy, Patricia Goliath. His lawyer, Barnabas Kulu, has described the allegations as malicious and baseless. This after the Judicial Services Commission compiled a report following an investigation into the claims. Now, to unpack this for us is Zikhona Ndlebe, who is a researcher and advocacy officer at Judges Matter. Zikhona, good evening, and thank you very much for your time. A top judge in our judicial system allegedly ordering a hit on his colleague in an independent judiciary. That is quite something. Is this an indication or a microcosm of what is happening in our judicial system, or is this peculiar to this particular judge?
Hi, Thabo. It is quite a concerning issue that there are allegations of this nature against the Judge President of the Western Cape Division of the High Court. And these allegations are the first of their nature. It has never been alleged in the past that a judge could have ordered an assassination against a deputy judge president. But the concern is that these allegations emanate from the fact that there was a case that was a complaint by the deputy judge president at the Judicial Service Commission. And the problem is that the conduct matters by the JSC are not dealt with accordingly. They're not dealt with timelessly. And this is why we see ourselves in this situation right now, that the allegations of this nature against a judge president at the Western Cape Division of the High Court. So the bottom line is that if complaints were dealt with timelessly, we might not be here at this point in time.
Now, it's not the first time that Judge Hlope has been under some kind of a cloud. He has been here before. Are all these matters in some way connected to his past cases?
I do not think it would be reasonable and fair to connect matters that are not interlinked. But yes, you're correct that it is not the first time that the Judge President of the Western Cape has been under the spotlight relating questionable allegations. But they are not interrelated. But what we can link this allegation to is the complaint that was lodged by the Deputy Judge President of the Western Cape Division of the High Court, Deputy Judge Goliath, that was lodged in January of this year.
Now,
yes.
Track for us how that complaint came about and what is at the heart of that complaint.
So there are three allegations in that complaint by the Deputy Judge President. The first allegation is of assault against a judge at the Western Cape Division of the High Court as well, Judge Parker. And then the second allegation is the use of abusive language by the allegation of the use of abusive language by the Judge President against the Deputy Judge President. And then the third allegation is that the Judge President requested a junior judge to perform the duties of a judge president, which ought to be performed by the deputy judge president. And those allegations have been probed into by the Judicial Conduct Commission, and it was chaired by the Chief Justice, Justice Mogoeng. And an outcome was made in June regarding that complaint, and the Chief Justice noted that there are merits to the allegations or the complaints by the Deputy Judge President. And on the other hand, Judge President had his own complaints, and the first complaint was that there was an inappropriate use of language by the Deputy Judge President, language that I cannot say on national TV, and then there was gross incompetence as an allegation and a complaint by the Judge President as well. And there was a third allegation, which was that the Deputy Judge President leaked an affidavit, her affidavit that was sent to the JSC, to the media. And the Chief Justice said that the most important of those three allegations by the Judge President was the use of abusive language, which amounted to a form of racism, basically. But now the problem that the Chief Justice found was that that allegation was not substantiated with enough evidence to stand, and therefore he said that there was no merit to that allegation. But now what the Chief Justice at the end of the day recommended was that a judicial conduct tribunal must be convened to probe into these allegations. So that is where we are at.
Yeah, and how does this then link up with this inmate who is a hitman who is caught up in the political wars having to give this statement?
It is still quite bizarre how this inmate links to these allegations, and we don't know. And that is why we are of the view that maybe an inquiry into these allegations might be the correct thing to do at this point in time, because we have not had sight of the report at this point in time. But if it means that an inquiry to probe into these allegations, as the Judge President's lawyer has requested, Barnabas Xulu, if it means that must take place, then so be it. But the problem is that these allegations are of a serious nature, and if they are proven, then there's a possibility of an impeachment process being undertaken because these are serious allegations. So it's only fair that they are probed into accordingly, and correct information comes out.
Yeah. Judge Hlope himself has attempted to impeach his colleague at some point and wasn't successful in the courts?
It was not successful. I'm sure you're referring to the complaint, that the counter complaint that Judge President Hlope had against the Deputy Judge President. It was not successful, and that is what I've explained previously, which is that the Chief Justice found that those complaints by the Judge President had no merit, and therefore a tribunal in respect of those complaints is not necessary.
Now, the lawyers are emphasizing the timeline of events as something significant to look at. For example, that the report was issued on the 1st of September, a day after the alleged informant was interviewed at a Pietermaritzburg prison. 3 days later, questions were sent to the Office of the Chief Justice asking whether the office was aware of the allegations, and no formal report was provided to the Office of the Chief Justice. Are those issues that we should be concerned about?
It is issues that should be looked at, but what is of importance is the substance of what was found in those investigations. But I think where Judge Hlope's lawyer is coming from is that he's of the view that a predetermined decision had already been made when the investigation was undertaken. But we cannot say at this point in time whether that is true or correct. But a timeline is something that can be looked at, but what is of importance is the substance of what comes out of those attendances.
And that predetermined decision, of course, is also, in a sense, brought on by the fact that the Office of the Chief Justice assigned a security detail to the sitting judge, and in a sense saying, well, they've already determined that there was this assassination plot. Why issue the security detail? And in fact, Judge Hlope has come very strongly attacking the Chief Justice, saying he didn't act with integrity.
That is correct, but now we must also take into consideration that these, as I said, these are allegations of a serious nature, and if they were true, then a reasonable person, which is the Office of the Chief Justice, would take the necessary steps to ensure that no harm comes to the way of the Deputy Judge President, which is what happened, because the Office of the Chief Justice has that power to assign close protection officers to judges. So they were acting within their scope of power at that point in time. And we do not think that it would be a reasonable inference to draw that a predetermined decision had been made because of that factor alone.
Now, how does this all impact on the image of the judiciary?
That's a very important question, and it is a very concerning question, again, because the face of the judiciary as a whole, it's the last port of call in our three spheres of government, and when issues of this nature come to light, well, allegations of this nature come to light, it is very concerning, because the general public puts their trust in the judiciary, and the legal fraternity puts its trust in the judiciary. And these cases don't only relate to judges, but they relate to the judge president and the deputy judge president. And as I said before, previously, that the judges and judicial officers should lead by example. And the general public, I would say, would not expect allegations of this nature to come to the fore and from the deputy judge president and the judge president.
Zikhona, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. That is Zikhona Ndlebe, researcher and advocacy officer at Judges Matter.